I think that's good enough for
Oh yeah, that's
work.
totally fine. About 6 seconds is all I really need.
All right.
That's all it takes for a 75-year-old Antifa supporter to fall down. Sorry, an Antifa leader.
Oh my god!
Yeah, this, as I said, it's going to get real grown up. I'm fighting real hard to try to keep this tame this evening.
Well, let's clap so I can edit that out, because I'm keeping that shit in.
Okay.
Oh no! Wait, did he cut out?
Clap.
Wait,
No, he's here. He just has that. He has that dumb smile all the time.
Jesus.
Let's clap.
Okay, fine. All right, let's just snap and do it.
See, what they don't tell you in school, Michael, is that every day is a joke when you wake up with this tiny, tiny penis. I feel like we're just gonna get right out of the gate with technical
Every
difficulties.
day is yes. You know what? I might just buy you an Ethernet cable to just like wire it up to this room or something.
I mean, I might be able to, but I don't. I feel aside from last week and this week, it hasn't been this prevalent of a
It
problem.
hasn't.
Like,
That's
I
why
feel like
don't
once
understand.
I get to cruising altitude, it's fine, and then like it's dipped midway, and I don't know what the fuck is going on.
You just gotta
You
warm
killed
up your
Shane,
modem.
like effectively Shane.
Oh
Shit.
no! I should have snipped that for the viewers because you just had the dumbest smile on your face for
That's
when
just
you were like
my face.
you were like, I'm ready to go, and all I just see is your smile.
I can't. I literally can't. I'm crying. We're already a minute into this episode, and I'm in tears.
Fuck.
So,
It's like you watched Interstellar.
or this Mortal Coil's "It'll End in Tears" album.
I'm
It's
coming a little
literal.
It's like I looked at our band's group chat.
Speaking,
I'm just crying.
yep. Speaking of, I'm coming, Elizabeth. I have to tell John that story because I don't think he's heard that. Before you came back in, I was telling Michael that I caused serious physical harm. We were talking about a personal situation with me and his girlfriend. So I was saying essentially that she was holding on like someone who is past the orgasm in a blowjob but continues to suck anyway to their peril. And I told Michael at one point a girl attempted that with me and she received an MMA knee to the head because I couldn't control myself and it hurt really bad. And so after about the third straight, I kneed her in the head and knocked her off of the bed.
Let's just
No.
one. That's brilliant.
The fun part of it was also that she hadn't completed the swallow, so there was a snail trail from me to the place where her mouth had been to where she'd fallen off, so it was just this lengthy, windy trail of, my spent seed down to the floor.
You know what I see in my head is like the comic book, like a clip. Like, the traditional, like, the punch to the face, and then you see the blood spurt out the side of the mouth.
Accurate. It's the strangest Hansel and Gretel retold that I've ever encountered. Well,
The thing is that
with that said, hello and welcome. By the glitch-bound eternal, behold.
Behold!
What?
It's the Glitch-informed podcast. I'm Shane.
I am Jan.
And I'm Michael.
Should have said, I'm Shane, I'm on a delay, and I'm Michael.
I didn't
And I'm
mean
John.
to delay. I just got really nervous. You guys are putting me so on edge.
There was a good 2-second delay between our beholds.
Oh, that was because I was nervous and I lost place. That wasn't because of the audio.
I like
well.
syncing up the beholds. It makes sense.
I think even when my Zoom glitches, the most part the audio still stays pretty intact.
Oh yeah, the
so I
audio
try
is
to-
fine. It's just funny for us
Yes,
in the moment.
I just don't know what's gonna happen this episode, and it's filling me with existential dread. Am I gonna be present? Am I gonna live through this? I hope not.
Well, you better be filled with existential dread, because I have a moment, and thankfully I've come down a bit subsequent to it, but I'm a little upset with you, John.
What did I do?
Before you do that, can I do a quick little update?
Yes, you can do a
Sure.
little update, Michael,
So,
please, before
if you
the rage.
recall, probably like 10 episodes, no, probably more than that, episodes ago, when you had seen the Dark Temptation deodorant, I would like to announce that I have switched my deodorant.
semen.
Yes, I use semen as deodorant. Thank you, John. I don't know how you knew. I'm going more of an organic sort of vibe.
Well, speaking of organic,
natural
what
musk.
are you using?
I'm using Old Spice Volcano with
Apt.
charcoal. And I have to say, I wish we were sponsored. I usually am drenched with sweat in my armpits all day. It was only when I shut myself in this room with the light on and started recording that I actually started sweating today.
Okay.
Yeah. And it
I'm an
smells
Old
great.
Spice user from way back, and can approve. Can verify.
So
I
you
have
can call me
recently
Volcano.
left. I will not. I was the same, and then I became an actual hippie. And I started using Native, and Native has been great.
The fuck is that?
It's like one of the hippie deodorants, like
Is it
no
made with hemp?
parabens or. No, not yet.
Then it's not hippie. I don't know.
Shane, why have I fallen from your grace?
Well, also, Volcano is what Kneehead used to call me after that incident. So,
All right, no,
And you
I don't
called
want to
her
be
the
Volcano.
angry pirate.
indeed. Arr. So, I finished reading Stephen King's The Outsider in a 13-hour period,
Okay.
which is, I was completely enveloped in that book. I could not shake
Yeah, that's
myself free of
fever.
it.
Yeah.
And I was so elated, and I was on this beautiful emotional high. And then, to prove the point that you had from last week's episode of as similar as we are, somehow we can find ways to be dissimilar, I gave another shot at Blake Crouch's Recursion.
Oh no.
I'm so not ready for that book.
Okay.
And I know, Michael, you've read it as well. Yes, that was part of your whole book club. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the exact moment where I walked off the precipice, and then hopefully that will explain so that it doesn't sound like we are just different people now, henceforth and forevermore.
Okay.
There are two sequences, one of which I have pulled up because the internet is a beautiful place, and it is able to give me the moment where the character, and I'm going to say I have this in my Immortal notes as well, but if I never hear the word Helena again for the rest of my fucking life, I will die a happy man.
Nice.
But when you have a 39-year-old woman named Helena who, one, is playing hide and seek on a fucking craft with a bunch of other adults, and then decides on a whim to fuck Sergei from Moscow in a closet. I was like, I can't fucking deal with this book. I just
God,
can't.
I forgot about that. I had to blot that out.
I just got through that part. And
I saw you were reading it.
Yeah, not until I'm listening to it because I put it on hold. Like I heard the audiobook was good, and to side with you a little bit, the audiobook is kind of garbage. As far because they have a female and a male voice actor, and both of them are very just monotone, which kills any audiobook for me. But I think now that you bring it up, I feel like that section they're trying to make her into like a Dr. Manhattan-esque character, where like she's doing this like little droney, like kind of like in the sequence in Watchmen when he's like talking about time and how time works for him. Like I feel like that's what they're trying to do with her, but they're just not doing it well at all. And it really kind of illustrates that when it's done well, narratively, it does wonders, and when it's done poorly, it divides your audience split in two, as is evident.
And I unfortunately walked right out of the euphoria of my favorite author currently, my contemporary favorite author. Pardon me. Sorry. I saw that cum I've been swallowing. But who, a gentleman who describes the apotheosis of all deserts and this, all of these accumulations. And then we go from, and that's when she decided to fuck Sergei. But he wasn't her rig crush. That was Rajesh. And he's going to start a book club with her. I was like, how vapid is this? Just, it doesn't strike me at all as profound.
The main complaint that I have with that book, and this is a 35% through the listen, like the reread / listen, is the author doesn't paint a picture on the characters at all. He tries to he one-dimensionally tries to show you who they are, but he doesn't paint what they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the entire time, I don't know what it's like when you guys read, but based on certain descriptors, I can have a basic portrait, an actual portrait of a character in my head. And Stephen King in particular, to go back to your favorite, I think it's our favorite. He's very, very good at painting a picture, to the point where there is a meme inside of his community where it's the what is it? All of his male characters wearing the blue shirt, the is it chambray shirt?
Okay.
There's a meme in the community on how many of his lead men are introduced as wearing that shirt.
Yes.
Oh.
Because it's so it's prevalent. But again, his use of descriptors makes you keep that in your head.
Yeah.
Whereas,
we've talked about that. Wow.
2 episodes ago.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm come or something. I don't know.
Well, it's because Shane's throwing it.
Shane's volcano over here.
But yeah, Blake Crouch, I think, has a lot of good ideas, and the book is fun, and that was the point for me. I can toss those minor details aside, because later on, and especially probably 5 pages after that, there's some good shit that happens, and it just keeps escalating and building, and it just gets wacky and weird. And when I had Michael read it, and I don't know if you remember it, Mike, I was like, hey, just
Probably
buckle
not.
up, because the last quarter of the book is really hokey, but it's fun. It's nonsensical, but it's so fun.
The initial foray into this whole reveal of what's going on kind of took me aback, but once they removed it, and once they stopped trying to be as super techno babble as possible, and they were just like, this is what happens, this is what we're doing, blah 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 blah, I was totally okay with it.
It hit that point where, to how John probably felt about Knives Out, where there are things I was willing to concede for that story of okay, here's a woman who is nauseous at the thought of telling a lie and it makes her throw up. That normally would throw me out of a storytelling as a device.
Forgot about that.
And that would be tough to get through. And so I'm sitting here, and now this is someone who's my contemporary, because they're saying this is a 39-year-old woman. So I'm like, all right, I'm in your mental state. And then it's going, the taste of it is what all the wine she's ever had has been aspiring to be. The scales of what is good, great, and transcendent, recalibrating in her head. It is otherworldly, warm, rich, opulent, stunningly fresh. Stewed red fruits, flowers, chocolate, and... Been meaning to ask you something, Slade says, interrupting her reverie. Now, I'm reading this.
Sorry, but you just did a better job at doing the audiobook than the audiobook.
Oh my God. As I'm reading that, I was in my head of going this does not appeal to me at all. I don't give 2 shits what this wine tastes like. I've never tasted wine. I don't care to taste wine. I just want to get this story going. And unfortunately, all they've been doing with the story heretofore has been dogpiling police detective procedural cliches. Chapter 1, policeman finds woman about to throw herself off the top of a building. Never seen that before.
It's kind of in my head, the beginning of that book starts like a Batman movie. Almost it's like a dark painted metropolitan area, and a detective going up to a woman who's on the edge of a building about to jump and looking back, very almost like Batman meets Sin City-esque, where it's all black and white painted, Frank Miller-esque. Is it Miller or Mueller?
Miller. Yeah.
Miller. Very Frank Miller-esque, and that's to your point of it's very generic at the start.
In my head, I was I'd rather watch Lethal Weapon or Inception if I want to watch this shit happen.
So you've already burned my copy of that book and thrown it in the trash, or you've bookmarked
it survives.
Or... Okay.
I got 60 pages in, because Melissa has been touting that as a good cutoff, as if you're not invested by then, at least give it 60 pages as a cutoff. But, I should say, the inciting device for The Outsider, which I believe you got a little bit into, is they find a young boy who, and this major one, it's not a spoiler, but this is a trigger warning. It is
It's
exceedingly
graphic. I listened to the first like 4 or 5 chapters.
Yeah, there is a boy who is there's a physical toll taken on him that results in his death, which no human being should ever have to endure. And so go from that, which I had never encountered, in something which was both shocking and intriguing at the same time, and granted, that's terrible. It shouldn't speak to that as going, but at least I'd never heard that before. And the way that they build into leavening it into the story and the interest that it accumulates is entirely different from how they started the story out for Recursion. And I think I unfortunately read one of my favorite books ever right in advance of it, and then walked just blindly into the windshield that was that
the
book.
Outsider hits that mark for you.
Yeah,
huh?
without question. I don't think, to have got through that as quickly as I did, that staggering.
Okay, so this is a charged question, and this is in our edition on today's episode of the Stephen King Disinformed podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Does it beat out Dr. Sleep?
I don't think that it is.
I know it's hard to compare because they're.
Yeah, oddly enough, I was going to talk about Dr. Sleep at one point as well, but when we dive in. But it's on the level. They're in neck and neck competition. I still Dr. Sleep has more of a better sort of like the denouement of Dr. Sleep touched me a little bit more. It was a little more emotionally stirring, and I was invested in the characters a bit more. I think The Outsider to me was just such a well-written book, and I was so engaged by what was happening in the plot line. And plus, I knew what happened, unfortunately, because If It Bleeds tends to spill everything that happens in The Outsider, essentially, by the time you get through it.
I've remained unspoiled, so I'm...
Yeah, it's worth it. I liked it. But again, that's me. And I think what I'm attempting to point out through the whole of this is taste is painfully subjective. You cannot shake the fact that something that touches somebody is going to just completely deter someone else from reading it. And a lot of people hated The Outsider. One of my colleagues told me the ending was the dumbest thing he had ever heard, and that's why I put off reading it for so long, is he just was completely disenchanted with it. He's like, it's stupid. King doesn't know how to end a book. I went, oh, okay, well, I'll stay away from that.
He has,
wrong.
Like, it's official that he has said that in the past, that he's relied on even Joe Hill to help him in a couple of things. And, I mean, he even says that in It Chapter 2.
Yep. So that was it.
Yeah.
That was I won't rake you over the coals any further than that. But
No,
I went following the film recommendations, and then this one. I think, you and I don't always bat in the same order.
That's fine. And I think the main reason that I'm even more, at peace with that is because we've had so many solid recommendations to each other that you're bound to have the failures. And at this point, the only way that we can continue to fine tune our recommendations to each other is when we miss. So
yes,
I'm
Fair.
good with it.
Yeah.
And also I'm fine with it because you gave Michael a Sigourney segue, and I'm going to softball this over to him that Michael had us watch a video prior to this recording. Shane, did you watch the video? You didn't watch the video.
Oh, no.
He would have hated it, Michael.
Oh, I know he would have, but it was 10 minutes long. He would have watched 3 minutes and been out because I almost stopped watching and then I finished it.
Okay.
A little bit of, have either of you heard of I think they're like a company of sorts called Rocket Jump?
No.
Okay.
The name sounds slightly familiar, but I can't say I know
They make a lot of
what
YouTube esque videos.
What's a YouTube?
They also have their own series on Hulu, I believe.
Okay.
They're pretty much like a small company, kind of like Rooster Teeth or other sort of like small
super indie.
Yes, that like kind of catapulted off of the YouTube fame, where they made like a couple of really good like viral videos, like Glitched Mario, I think. No, that was someone else. But anyway,
you're losing the plot.
Essentially, like they made one that was essentially like how I felt. Essentially, it's how I felt My Immortal was written in some sort of like regard.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that
so-
it was like two people kind of fighting over what should I do. I want Sherlock Holmes to sleep with Dracula on a Star Wars battle cruiser while they're having a lightsaber fight. Well, they're actually going to fight. Well, they're going to fuck. Well, they're going to fight and fuck. Okay, well, And that's kind of essentially the 10 minutes.
Isn't that how do it?
Yeah. I'll say that you will hate it, Shane, but it is kind of worth a once over. It's only worth a once over because we've been doing the dramatic reading.
That's literally 110% why I recommended it.
When you watch it, and again, please do, just so that you can be in on it.
Can do. It's
stupid. It's a waste of 10 minutes of your life, but so is talking to some of our bandmates in a closed room.
Well, here is a...
Ouch.
I'm going to let you have that one because that was very good. I'm going to do that as a dual-headed Sigourney segue. One, I'm going to watch it before we do Disinformed After Dark this week. So that will be something that I'll at least get a taste of it, a soupçon, if you will. And that points out that, hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing here, we are now doing a weekly segment on YouTube solely. They are going to be hosting for us there. And it's Disinformed After Dark, where you get a little video podcast from us on a weekly basis that is just a sort of bite-sized episode that you get after we record our episodes here and we're waiting for files to compress. So every Friday, tune into YouTube. I think I'm doing it around 10 a.m. for the release time, and you'll get new audio content from us that is exclusive to YouTube every week. And this week, as a teaser, it will happen probably because the way that we've got the timeline established, the After Dark will be out before this episode is out. So, you'll get to understand how this germinated when you watch the After Dark. But I will watch that and we can chat about it for a little bit before we get done there. But also, Steven, superfan Steven, sent me another fanfic, and it is Harry Potter written to by a... This also, it's open to...
Is this a very religious woman, Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles?
Yes, it is.
I haven't read it myself, but I've listened to another YouTuber do a kind of dramatic reading of it. I was thinking about literally 2 days ago, I watched the person's part 2 of it, and I wanted to add it to our queue because I know that at least Shane, you wanted to do the hack or the computer programmer dude. After that, if we want to go back into 23/B or something like that.
Oh, 27B/6, yes.
That guy, yes. We can read a couple of those. After we're done with that, then I feel like we can go into the Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles.
If it's the same woman that Steven sent me the video of, I don't think we could do any worse. Because she has got the personality of a melting snow cone.
We'll talk about it later.
Furthermore, her podcast was brought to us by Audible. And I was like, if you're getting an Audible sponsorship, I should be walking on the moon right now.
Okay, then it wasn't. I got a YouTuber, not a podcast.
Well, it was a YouTuber who apparently is sponsored by Audible. That's a thing. It can happen.
Probably Aeon Flux. Is it that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was the one I watched.
All right, John.
Oh, sorry. And I was saying before we get in, because we actually have a topic today.
Yes, we do.
What? No.
But again, we've kind of, as have been wont to do, we're restructuring so that they're bite-sized topics no matter what. So,
yes.
Just a little preface before we get to the reading at the end of the episode. I realized this week that the author of My Immortal is more progressive than JK. Because JK is apparently a garbage dumpster fire of a woman.
I have not heard this. I have
not
read about this.
You know Hermione could be red as black, right?
What does that have to do with anything?
No, she said that.
Oh,
she said that not too long after the Dumbledore thing.
Got it.
And isn't that how they cast for the Cursed Child stage play as well, as they had a black actress playing Hermione?
So I didn't know that.
Yes,
I wasn't aware of JK's Twitter presence, or I didn't follow everything, but apparently outside of her retconning and adding and subtracting things from her own created universe, she is mildly transphobic.
She is a TERF, even if she says she's not. A TERF stands for trans exclusionary radical feminist. I just
Take
said
it away.
trans
So-
exclusionary radical feminists.
The idea is you have to be born a woman, otherwise you're not a woman, and you're just sort of claiming to be one.
Yes,
Okay.
the whole idea is that it's a subset of people that believe like you might have been born a male, so you don't really understand how it feels to be a woman in a patriarchal society, even though you have either transitioned or are currently transitioning or any sort of on that spectrum.
All right.
You
Yeah,
don't
so-
count as having
So,
suffered.
and when this is published, it'll have been a week and some change since, but JK published tweets, and I'm going to summarize. I'm not going to fucking go look back
Okay,
to
please,
what she
don't.
said. But essentially, she just said some really harmful things about trans women to the tune. And it is, one, it's bad just to be transphobic. And it's just bad in general. But you can tell how bad it is when the actors from the movie come back in and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, it's okay to be who you are. It's completely fine. Like when they show more heart and compassion, like because they lived in the role than the person who wrote the role originally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it just makes me think of how comical My Immortal is, and just like how much ridiculous shit's going on there. And I was like, I don't think, she would ever go back on that. Like if she could go edit, or like if she had a presence still online, I think she'd be really proud of her work. Did I disappear?
You got a little glitchy.
Yeah. I
said
assume
that
you're talking about Tara saying that
Yes.
you're
Yes, I
backing
think
up your
that-
statement. Okay.
I was saying that Tara would not shy away from her opinion.
Certainly
She,
not. I
even
don't
to this
imagine.
day, if she
would
had an online
flip off
presence.
the preps / haters because she hated the haters and the people that flamed her. Yeah.
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 So
She hated
Anyway.
them like hair grids.
She loves bisexual men because they are, to quote her, pretty hot.
So hot.
So, HAWT.
So, Michael, what you got?
So this is actually a better Sigourney segue than I could have actually guessed, because kind of the subculture that Tara probably came from. If Tumblr existed back in that day, which I can't be, I'm nonplussed to check it out. I can't be bothered. Whenever Tumblr was founded, but we're going to be talking about a specific convention for Tumblr users by Tumblr users. Called DashCon. Okay?
Not hungry, thanks.
Yeah, neither am I. Especially after reading this.
Um,
So
by the way, Tumblr was created in 2007.
it was actually not too long after My Immortal came out, because if I recall correctly, it came out. It was published in some regard in 2006, because that's how we say those years.
Thank you,
Yep,
Grandpa.
yep. And 2006.
Around 2006, I got the tumblers, and I hurt
before-
my head real bad.
But before we start, Shane, can you give us a lowdown onto the actual what we actually do here?
I most certainly can. So, here at the Disinformed podcast, we are occasionally wont to tell you about an esoteric or obscure topic, and whilst we are doing so, we tend to lie about it because that is part of the fun. And so the person presenting the topic will whip in the occasional lie as we're explaining the topic's rich history, and it is then incumbent upon the co-hosts to call out those lies in situ and scream at them, the word posse, whenever possible. And at the end of the show, at the end of the segment, there is a quick denouement where we explain what the lies are. We'll have a hearty laugh. And as with John's normal way of claiming, it's like whose line?
Yes. The points don't matter.
Nobody wins and the points don't matter. So,
No hugging, no learning.
no loving, no laughing, all lying.
Yes.
So, Michael, tell us about SmashCon.
If only it was that. If only. So DashCon was a fan convention catering primarily to users of the blogging service website known as Tumblr.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
No, see, that was a poor example.
I just wanted to give you a taste of your own medicine.
Now I know how it feels.
Yes.
That won't change how I go about it, but
Bullshit.
now I know. With a particular emphasis on fandoms. It was held over the weekend of July 11th, 2014. So it's actually will be coming up next month, the 6th year anniversary of DashCon.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say femdoms initially, and I got a little more excited, and then
Or
J.K.
findom.
Rowling slapped me, and it was bad.
Yeah, no, it's sorry, it's not that exciting.
Damn it.
It was held over the weekend of July 11th, 2014 in Illinois. The inaugural and ultimately the only convention quickly became infamous for allegations of mismanagement and corruption among organizers. I also wrote these are their stories because I felt like I was going to be some sort of piece of shit. Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the plot stiffens.
Oh, it's already stiff.
It's going to be hard for her to enter the beauty pageant without a face.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's the wrong
I
wrong series there. So DashCon was originally announced in mid-2013 under the name TumbleCon USA as a convention catered to users of Tumblr and was touted as the quote largest gathering of Tumblr users to date.
Well, they'll tumble for you.
The convention was to focus on works that have developed significant followings among Tumblr users, such as Doctor Who, Sherlock, Supernatural, and the podcast Welcome to Night Vale. Yeah.
So what it kind of reminds me is like what TwitchCon is now. Right? There's like TwitchCon and like there's YouTube streamer like festivals, or not festivals, but like conventions. So they were trying to do
VidCon,
their
which
own,
is for YouTube creators. Except for I mentioned it later on, but I'll mention it here. This was not hosted by Tumblr.
So it's by fans for fans.
Exactly.
Only
like-
fans.
Yes. So I don't know why I deleted it. It might be listed later. Nope. Originally, like I said, it was TumbleCon USA, but they changed it because they realized that they could get copyrighted for using Tumblr's name, so they called it DashCon in reference to the dashboard or like the main page as like most...
Oh, right.
Yes, dashboard. That's the same sort of thing like your wall for Facebook, that idea. Let's see. None of the main convention organizers appear to have a background in fan conventions or similar events, which is already a first warning.
That was
DashCon...
Melissa's first thing when I mentioned the topic. She was like, yeah, they probably had never run conventions before, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. The DashCon owners were a novelist, quote, with 15 years of business experience and a 20-year-old with a degree in hospitality management.
Well, both of those things and $4.50 will get you a cup of coffee.
The convention raised a lot of money through ticket pre-orders, along with a crowdfunding a campaign that raised more than $4,000 on Indiegogo. Prior to the start of the convention, I did mention this. The name of the event was changed to DashCon to indicate that it was not officially associated with Tumblr. Okay, there were promised appearances by Noelle Stevenson, who was a cartoonist. She was the creator of the reboot She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. That's something that has recently started in the last, I think, year or so. Baker Street Babes, who produce an all-female Sherlock Holmes podcast, which is actually kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
The Welcome to Night Vale podcast. Steam Powered Giraffe, who are an American steampunk musical comedy project. And then a webcomic artist who runs a Tumblr called Twitter the Comic. Sorry.
Okay.
He would make comics based on other people's tweets.
That's cool.
And yeah, there was actually one that I kind of found when I originally looked up this this topic. This was right around the same time that I think it was Tara Reid with Joe Biden, the whole sexual allegations and everything. And there was a particular interesting comic that I found from tweets that involved from 2013 when he was still vice president. That was kind of saucy, and I'll probably show it in Disinformed After Dark to kind of tease it. I'll show you guys because it'll be on recording, so then you can look at that at your leisure. So, Going to the actual convention now. Almost immediately, the convention began to experience unexpected financial difficulties. On the first day of the convention, a DashCon staff member claimed that the staff of the hotel purportedly informed them that they would need to pay $20,000 up front for the use of the facilities or shut the convention down.
Well, that's how they get you.
Yes.
But they only raised 4.
They raised some more, I believe. I don't recall the exact numbers off the top of my head, but they did raise more as through ticket pre-sales. DashCon organizers additionally had claimed to have verbally negotiated to pay the venue gradually throughout the convention using ticket sales rather than issuing an upfront payment, despite their contract suggesting otherwise. So essentially their contract was pay up front, but then they were able to verbally negotiate with the hotel that, hey, we'll just give you we'll pay as we go based off of ticket sales.
That's not how that works.
Anytime someone says they've engaged in verbal negotiations, it essentially strikes me as what you do when you get a quote-unquote sex worker back in the room and they begin to upsell you on other things that they can do. You're losing money regardless. I don't care how you're getting out of this.
Mm-hmm. At 9 p.m. that night, so the first night, as a result of this unexpected enforcement of the originally agreed-upon contract, the DashCon organizers began to publicly solicit donations among a crowd of around 400 attendees, which was much lower than the original estimate of 3,000 to 7,000 attendees. So there was a video that I kind of based a lot of this off of. The video was by a YouTuber named Internet Historian. He actually does a deep dive into this part where he tries to count the number of people in the room to try and ascertain how much money was actually donated in cash, because a lot of people also did donations through PayPal.
Man.
And he puts the estimate about 400 people. There are other estimates that put it about 1,000.
So you already have a captive audience of people who have paid and purchased tickets. You have presumably vendors who are coming in for presentations, people who are expecting to sell merchandise, and then on top of it, you're going, by the way, if you don't give us more money, they're shutting this thing down on us, and we're going to be strapped.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They emphasized either cash or online donations via PayPal to cover the costs, with a goal of collecting at least $17,000 by 10 p.m. to prevent the convention from being shut down.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. So like I said, the YouTube video that I kind of took a lot of this stuff from also shows clips that people recorded from this specific event, like this part in the whole convention. When they originally announced that to the crowd, there was one person in the back that yelled out, "This is extortion." But
hey guys, doesn't this feel like extortion to you?
Right. But the overall crowd was very supportive of the whole endeavor.
They stabbed him in the neck, right?
Yes, the extortion guy was stabbed in the neck and his body was cast after he was looted for all valuables to sell.
This is a 75-year-old man, right? And they approached him and pushed him over.
And then the rest of the people quit in protest.
And then
according to the official convention records, he tripped.
Yeah, and then the head of it tweeted later that, maybe he was a plant, like he was an agent sent there to shut the convention down.
Oh no, I thought you meant that he was like a hibiscus,
like a literal plant. Oh, because night kills.
Oof!
75-year-old hibiscus gets pushed down at convention.
Oh,
so
God.
there was a lot of support aside from the one guy that yelled extortion. There was a lot of solidarity in it. No, there was someone that actually yelled out that this is extortion,
and it was.
Yes,
it was.
But there was a lot of solidarity. People were handing up donations, pretty much turning out whatever cash they had. There was also a lot of support in the. So attendees were seen performing the 3-finger salute from the Hunger Games, chanting lines from High School Musical, singing Queen's "We Are the Champions," and also dancing the Time Warp from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
There is a lie in that sentence.
I'm going to go with that as well. Definite lie. Do we need to pick
one?
which one? If I had to choose, I would say the third after the High School Musical one.
So the time warp.
No. Was there something in between the time?
So
warp?
there was the three-finger salute,
Okay.
the High School Musical, Queen's "We Are the Champions."
That one.
And nope, that was
Okay.
saying.
Have at it, John.
As someone that has gone to conventions for the fraternity that was a part of.
Okay, and then I'll take a crack.
Fine, I was gonna give a
Virgins
little bit of-
fraternity.
He's on a
Conventions
delay,
love
damn
singing
it, Michael.
Queen.
Give him a
Oh,
second.
yeah, true. He's like, huh?
He's on a
Never mind.
delay. You have to give
Yeah,
him
that's
a second.
fair. I gotta wait.
Okay, I think I'm here.
Let's do the time warp again, John.
What are you guessing, John?
Oh, I was gonna let you finish speaking, but I was gonna say my guess would be the three-finger Hunger Games salute.
Nope. You're right. There is a line there, and I'll just say it so you guys don't keep
Yeah,
me
yeah.
guessing. It was nope. It was the time warp.
Get the fuck out of here. So Rocky Horror, the thing that is most commonly referred... All right, well, you did a good plant there. Well done.
I was very proud of it. But to talk about it, the conventions that I've been to for my musical fraternity,
Oh, fun.
there would always be like some sort of dance or something like that. But since we were a dry fraternity, there was no alcohol consumed.
Oh, you were a dry fraternity just because you were involved.
Officially dry.
Uh-huh.
Always wet in the inside.
Certifiably dry.
We would always have a point where someone would sing either Bohemian Rhapsody or Queen's or We Are the Champions or We'll Rock You, and then everyone would start singing. So it
By your
that-
presence here, you have proven that you are not the champions. I can guarantee that. Also, I should speak. This is the point where I have my organic segue of there are a small segment of our listenership who are Michael apologists. Have you seen this, John? Have you encountered this?
I have not.
On our Facebook, a good friend of mine and a faithful supporter listener of the show, Edward, who is a marvelous man who I love to death, he
And I
told
do
me
too.
I need to be nicer to Michael because he's trying.
it's a
You know
it's
what?
like
Here,
a pity apologist.
I was gonna say, I
he's
got
doing
this.
his best. Okay.
Michael, in case you don't understand what Edward's trying to tell you, what Edward is trying to tell you, what he's trying to give you is a participation trophy. You fucking snowflake.
I am buying the first official, when we talked about we want to do the Bloodborne or the FromSoft, the You Died,
Tried.
and convert it to You Tried, I am making one for Michael. It is a guarantee. So, unbeknownst, poor Edward, and I know he intended this, like it was the best intentions, and the road to hell has led us to Michael's presentations. We're going to do our level best to keep it here, but yeah, no. I can't support this, Edward. I'm
I
going to
will
continue
say-
to be feisty with Michael.
Thank
If
you,
we're
Edward.
doing the,
I appreciate your support.
If we're doing the Sour Patch approach, Shane gave his bit, and I'll say, Michael, the reason that I don't have topics isn't because I'm lazy. It's just because I won't try.
Can't try, won't try.
I appreciate that. I guess I don't really know how to respond to
Well,
that.
You're researching the hell out of those topics, kiddo.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Secondary
That's
sidebar. Melissa mentioned to me this morning, this is in keeping with my character. So just to save Michael, that, character assassination has turned into my bag, apparently. Melissa said, there's a friend of mine who I used to work with who she posted this morning that apparently there is some sort of a sickness you can get from overindulging in marijuana, where it is functionally, it gives you flu-like symptoms where you become nauseous and you throw up readily and you have a lot of those things. And it's not something that's being publicized because naturally they have been touting that marijuana is the, effect-free drug for a very long time. So people don't want to point this out. And the person who posted this was not attempting to dissuade anyone from, taking it, but just saying, in case you're having these symptoms, it might be something that you need to investigate. And Melissa, being a loving and caring woman, says to me, maybe because Sam says she doesn't feel well a lot and she's having all these problems, she said, maybe you can point this out to her, as something. And I went, you know what? In order for me to do that, I would have to actually care about Sam's well-being, and I simply don't. I just can't be bothered.
And I quit.
And Melissa just kind of she's like, well, she's in your band. She's a good friend of yours. I was like, if she dies, I just lose one more loudmouth asshole I have to deal with over the course of my life, and I have enough of those to go around. It's like I have to deal with myself, and I can't get rid of me. I have to stick with me for all time.
Hey, don't you talk like a quitter like that. You could get rid of yourself if you really wanted to.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's any seed of consciousness that will endure past the veil, it's going to stick with me. I'm still
Michael,
me.
can you edit out the fact that I told Shane that he could get rid of himself? Because then if he actually does it, then there's a clip out there.
I've been granted permission by John.
You're just saying
I can kill
go
myself.
commit die. You're not saying anything like ridiculous. You're just being cute about it or something. I don't fucking know.
We've been telling Asher he could kill himself for years. So I mean, if we can't encourage one another in our intellectual
to be
pursuits,
fair, he accepts it and he wants it.
Yes.
If he didn't want to kill himself, he shouldn't have dressed that way.
Michael,
anyway,
your topic, please.
While organizers managed to raise the necessary funds,
That was so bad. I'm so sorry.
the incident raised suspicion among attendees over the possibility of the crowdfunding drive being a scam, which included disputes over the authenticity of an image of the bill printed on hotel stationery, which was released by a staff member. Or being further proof of the alleged mismanagement and corruption. So essentially, this whole ordeal made people think, sounds fishy to me. And it was just the start of such fishiness.
You're telling me that people were conjuring up conspiracies in the midst of a con for internet users and podcast aficionados.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. I'm incredulous.
To put further fire on it, it seems unlikely that a major venue like the Schaumburg Convention Center, which is owned by Marriott, I left it in because I wanted to try and pronounce
today's episode of Michael pronouncing things.
Schaumburg.
It's German, so whatever.
Oh, it's
German. A Marriott hotel.
I see.
Schaumburg. It's not butter.
It's owned by the the Marriott. But it's unlikely that a major venue would allow a first-time convention to show up without having paid their fees in advance, then demand a $20,000 fee at 10 p.m. on a Friday night. At the very least, they would not suddenly change their agreement with the convention halfway through the event itself.
I would say that is a reasonable thing to assume because, I mean, by and large, if you're trying to hold out a convention center or anything of that size, they're going to want something in advance or they're not going to hold it. They will simply tell you, no, we can book this with someone else. So, thank you. Fuck you, bye.
Yeah. So, other issues. So, the guests that I mentioned above, the creator of the reboot of She-Ra, the all-female Sherlock Holmes cast, etc., several of the above celebrity guests were also informed by the hotel that they would be responsible for paying for their own rooms, despite being previously told that the rooms would be paid for by the convention itself.
Oh my god, I'd be so fucking pissed.
Stevenson, the creator of the reboot of She-Ra, would ultimately join the Welcome to Night Vale cast for the night in accommodations obtained by Airbnb. The appearance of the Welcome to Night Vale cast was ultimately canceled. Organizers organizers reimbursed those who had purchased tickets for the panel with tickets to a raffle of various autographed collectibles. So it was a raffle of autographed collectibles, admission to a concert with the Chicago-based Doctor Who-inspired rock band called Time Crash, and an extra hour in the ball pit, which I will get to in a second.
We have seen a picture of the ball pit. Yes.
I showed that picture, and if I don't know if you're still doing any sort of teaser picture album stuff, but you can definitely put that picture up for people to see because it. Yes.
Done and done.
So,
the actual title that I have come up with this week's episode is Con Artistry. So I think it's appropriate considering.
Also mentioning that American steam-powered punk-based rock band, the Steam Powered Giraffe, They never appeared because they had never agreed to appear in the first place.
They
so
could
they
smell
never
the
even showed
fire.
up.
Basically, they were just thrown on there because they didn't argue enough to get their name removed from it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to interrupt. The only reason that
No, you're
this
fine.
is laughing to me is I have listened to so many individuals talk about professional wrestling cons that do this exact same thing where they just put everybody under the moon on a poster, and then none of those people are coming. They just threw them on there for the sake of people going at it and being lured into the false advertising. It was like, oh my god, he's gonna be there, and buying tickets, and then they're oh, sorry, we can't refund you the ticket money. So this is a common sort of scheme for people who are trying to bilk poor unwitting folks out of their money.
I didn't know that. That's actually quite fascinating. Let's see. To also like put a little bit more fire in that, the DashCon official blog also had said that they were in partnership with a charity called Random Acts. But the convention did not appear at the time to have been publicly acknowledged by the charity. So they were adding more stuff to seem more legitimate, but they were just lying.
It's not even like they had good intentions and then just stumbled. They went in with no intentions, and it just got worse and worse.
They are either the most hapless individuals in the whole of human history and just were blithely unaware of the fact, or they are the most clever and conniving human beings alive. Question, which random acts are we talking about? Was Dark Temptation considered one of the scents that was going to be thrown in?
Yeah, come on, bitch.
What?
Huh?
For the random acts.
The charity Random Acts.
Yeah, which acts were they referring to? Was Dark Temptation one?
I assume Random Acts a charity.
It's an
I don't
axe,
know, man.
like what you cleave people's head in?
Let me ask you a question. No, axe,
Oh, God.
ACTS.
I tried.
almost said Z.
I tried. I'm sorry.
Nope.
It was there.
I wasn't
Yeah.
biting. Nah. I apparently just.
Michael, you're incapable of
Right over my
biting.
head.
You're like hen's teeth.
So, the ball pit. To describe to the listeners, I almost said viewers.
Frozen
to the listeners,
John is in my favorite pose ever right now. Oh.
No, damn it! I was gonna snip it, but too
Can't
late.
catch
we had
me,
Stretchy John
motherfuckers.
with his arm
Damn
above
it.
his head, like, in a beautiful yoga pose.
Do one of these.
Yeah, you're the gingerbread bitch.
Motherfucker.
Hey, do you guys
Anyway,
think I'll
the ball
get
pit-
demonetized if I show nipple?
God, I hope so.
The ball pit was roughly the size of a kiddie pool in an otherwise empty concession hall.
Yeah, the ball pit was the size of John's areola.
Yeah. About good
And
description
tune
there.
into After Dark to see how big it is.
Indeed.
So-
like a goddamn dinner plate.
The notion of an extra hour in it quickly became a meme among attendees and other Tumblr users, inspiring parodies. One video game developer created DashCon Simulator 2014, which was literally just a simulation of the ball pit.
Michael, could you, is the paying for a ticket to be in the ball pit, is that bullshit?
No.
The
Oh
ball
my
pit
God.
is actually something they expected people would have to get ticketed to go into.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Shane,
They
I don't
brought
know
it-
about you, but on a Friday night when I'm feeling all right, the main thing that really unwinds me is a ball pit. And I will spend good money to touch every single one of those balls.
Well, there are 50 ways to leave your ball pit.
I just-
Hey.
So it was brought back Saturday, but it was starting to deflate, and at some point in the afternoon, I believe, I don't have it written down, but I'm recalling from the video, somebody had allegedly pissed in it.
That's
You're
really
gonna
the only
trigger
way to function as a form of peaceable protest is to piss in the ball pit.
Yes.
Well, I think they're trying to assert their ownership, because if you pee on it, then it's yours. At least that's what my dogs have taught me.
And your wife.
That's actually a fair point, because whoever probably peed in it, they probably were like, well, this is mine now, because it did not come back Sunday morning. So there you
as
go.
someone who participated in John's wedding ceremony, part of the nuptials was the ritual peeing on one another to mark territory.
Which is why we did it in a brewery, because the floors are easier to clean. It's a sanitary environment.
And it all blended in smell-wise.
Yeah.
Very
yeah,
true.
Especially
very
if they're
true.
brewing with all the grains and all that.
It was a Pilsner, see?
A convention guest explained that the ballpoint was, to quote, not a point of interest. It wasn't something a single soul talked about, and it was just a quirky thing that existed. And that, quote, in order to support the idea that DashCon was a full 100% disaster, every single detail was used to paint the con and the people at it as horrible failures of humanity. To just give you a more, idea of the not depravity, but just the utter just failure of this whole thing. So I had mentioned earlier that they were expecting upwards of 7,000, so 3,000 to 7,000 people to the con. I double checked this. Only 500 tickets were made available each day to the convention. I did check the official DashCon blog on Tumblr, and it did confirm that there were only 500 tickets that could be purchased each day. So where they were thinking that they were going to have another 1,500 to 5,500 people just magically appear out of nowhere and somehow pay for a ticket.
Well, Michael, if you
I have
count
no
the
idea.
extortion, that would easily double their ticket sales.
Some more other minor issues. An attendee described in a post hotel mints being given away at a panel as competition prizes.
That's fake.
It is not.
Oh, a pillow mint for your discontent.
Thoughts. Yeah.
There was a game room in another one of the concession halls.
Is this a Dane Cook-like game room where you turn off all the lights and try to discover who's in your mouth?
I feel like that would be a lot more interesting than what they actually had.
I mean, it's a metaphor for the con itself.
They just had every attendee's parents record a vlog of why they're disappointed in their children, and they just have a room where they air that.
That would also be more interesting than what they had. They had a single TV and console, and that was their game room. I tried finding what type of console it was, but I could not find it.
It doesn't matter because the controller was broken.
Probably. They had one control. No.
The game room was basically on demo mode for 18 hours.
The 20-year-old investor came inside of the joystick, so it just didn't work right.
If you ever wanted to wonder what the Super Smash Bros. Loading screen looks like, here it is.
So do they.
Add notes. We don't have an HDMI cable. Does anybody want to bid us one? Could you spring to buy us an HDMI cable?
Hey,
They
can anyone
wheel
bring
it.
one in when they we'll give you a 90% off your ticket.
I literally
our-
see the when I was like in junior high or whatever, the 15-inch TV on the cart strapped on, and then the bottom has like some shoddy looking thing that might be a console, but it also might be a bomb.
Well,
I'll again for another because I believe there is a picture of it on in the YouTube video. For another part of the Disinformed After Dark, I might try and find the picture of it so I can show you if I can. If I can't, then I'll just explain it there.
well,
But,
I mean, it was
Jesus.
part of their original written contract that they would need an adapter for the television in order to utilize the gaming console they wanted to, but then they had an additional verbal agreement where they thought that they could try to get someone to gift them one of those adapters if
See,
they
it's
took
really
their
never
tops
their
off.
fault. Yeah, it's never their fault.
No, certainly not.
So, Aftermath.
Oh,
In the
Afterbirth.
aftermath, yeah, pretty much. In the aftermath of the convention, a staff member of the hotel stated that the facility did enjoy their presence, while DashCon staff promised to provide a more thorough explanation of what had occurred. The Baker Street Babes, the all-female Sherlock Holmes podcast, reported that the hotel payment issue was, according to organizers, a mistake. Stevenson, who the reboot She-Ra person, who I had forgotten to mention, had to moderate her own panel because there was no one there to show up for. No one showed up to her panel to help her, so she had to moderate the whole thing herself. Whose hotel payment had not been resolved, she defended criticism of DashCon by other users. arguing that they were unfamiliar with what typically occurs at a convention in the first place.
Okay, so
And
this
she
person
also-
had Stockholm syndrome, basically.
That's what I was thinking too.
And also, she quote said, "Any press is good press."
Fair enough, yes. At that point, she was a cartoonist. I don't know exactly what she was doing on her, aside from just being a cartoonist for, I believe, Tumblr and some other sources. But it was only in the last couple of year or so that she was spearheading this reboot of She-Ra.
Well, she was
if I recall correctly.
someone who is a very adept at I just
Shane, wake up.
stroked out. I'm sorry. She's someone who is exceedingly adept at parody, who was working at a parody of a pop culture con.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Near the end, and after the convention had finished, suspicion arose that the event was a cash grab by the convention organizers. It was noted that when organizers were asked to pay the remaining $20,000 to continue the convention, it was claimed that only $3,000 had been accrued by then, which was why they're asking for $17,000 instead of the $20,000. During the donation drive, third-party sources and testimonies claimed that around $750 was collected on site, with the remainder made in electronic transactions. A leaked payment statement, however, listed $11,750 had been paid in cash, causing observers to accuse the convention organizers of pocketing a substantial amount of the donations, though organizers denied this claim. They made up for this terrible con in their sequel, DashCon 2015, which was a roaring success. They had learned their lesson and successfily advertised with plenty of time. Yeah.
I was like, there's no way in hell anyone is letting them do this again.
I'm gonna say the full lie just because I
You whipped it
thought
up.
about
Why
it
not?
and they had learned their lesson and successfully advertised with plenty of time to be able to afford the correctly sized venue that catered to the expected number of people. It was very successful, but the extra effort required to get such a success going was too much for the organizers, and so they did not renew for 2016. The real truth was they never did a sequel. There was an attempt to do one, but it was scrapped after doing another Indiegogo campaign and selling pre-orders. Also, as far as I was aware, they did not refund the money that was part of the donation and the ticket pre-orders when they canceled the event.
Now,
Oh, man.
Here's the thing. How did they even make it through? Because from what you've said, they did not get the $20,000 that they would have needed to continue. So they somehow still continued to utilize everything, right?
They did meet it.
You're
the
kidding.
They did get $17,000 in the span of an hour. I thought I had mentioned that, but yes, they did get the $17,000 through electronic donations and cash.
Did they have pictures of someone running for political office engaged in, autoerotic asphyxiation with a small goat?
Well, that would be hot.
Because it's the only way I can conceivably come up with that happening in reality.
When you get people that are so passionate about their stuff, that was kind of the point that I was driving home, was that like a lot of the people were, damn it, John's picture froze again with him chugging a beer, and I wanted to snip it, but it's as soon as I move, it catches up. But essentially, and this is why I wanted to bring up what the people were doing, the attendees during that whole little debacle were doing. There was a lot of show of solidarity, aside from the one person that yelled out, "This is extortion." There were a lot of people that had donated cash, and then people had not emptied out bank accounts, but pretty much like the spending money that they had brought along with them, they had spent in donations and online or cash donations to make sure it happened.
So what you're saying is there is a market out there of people who are more than willing to sustain really poor showmanship. And so we are about to become the biggest podcast on the platform from this point forward.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say we should do a convention.
Yeah, I mean, conventions are really hot in 2020, especially the later half.
I like this even better. the socially minded convention where we do everything online and not actually plan anything out.
From someone who has been on a Zoom call, like, with Becky's family, like, so there was, like, 12 people on a Zoom call at once, I would rather die.
Our work Zoom calls when we have an all staff meeting with this organization is in excess of probably like 100 people, 110 maybe 120 at points, and yeah, I've never had so much bile rise up in my throat after anything but a Taco Bell meal in the course of my existence.
It's nauseating to try and keep up with who wants to talk, and everyone's so worried about talking over the other that any organic conversation goes out the window. So I could see it working well, like if you have an organizational thing that you need to get out, like as a business. But if you are just a group of people trying to passionately talk about something, like it's hard enough for the three of us. If you add like 4 more people, it's just a fucking nightmare. I froze again. I know. It's fine.
Agreed. Yes, we're all enjoying it, John. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're taking our mirth where we can find it these days.
Mm-hmm. You gotta. So that was it?
Well, congratulations. I'm sure you sneaked by a couple other lies in there that we did not catch.
Yes. So I had already, going to the beginning, so I listed appearances because, I mean, everyone loves throwing a lie in a list. So I listed the Noelle Stevenson, who was the cartoonist. She was true. She went there. Baker Street Babes, also true. Welcome to Night Vale Podcast, also true. Promised appearance by the Steam Powered Giraffe, true. Promised appearance, not necessarily actual appearance. The lie was the webcock. Wow.
Freudian slip,
Got
I
penis
believe,
on the
is
mind
what
there.
we would refer to that as.
Yes. So the webcomic artist who runs a Tumblr called Twitter the Comic was not there.
Okay.
Oh.
I looked up, to research this because I was quite proud of it. I looked up the most popular Tumblrs in 2013. And I came across Twitter the Comic.
I don't want to be self-congratulatory here with no real, but the second that you started saying that you had read it and you'd found other things and you were sharing your joy with John, it felt to me like you had gotten over a lie, and so you were mirthful about that as opposed to being really excited about the content that you found. And in my head, I'm going like, he's lying. But I didn't say anything because it's like, I can't verify any of this. And so I backed off of it. But
you didn't yell posse.
I should have. It's my own fault.
It's okay. I mean, like, that's something that I realized, like, doing a batch listen to most of our episodes in the span of 2 weeks here. A lot of our lies come, I mean, probably I wouldn't really lump you in, Shane, but I'd say a lot of my lies come from lists. And that's what I'm trying to not do here on out, but it's just so tempting when you have a list to just be like, let's just throw in one. Let's just do one.
All right.
They might catch it. They might not.
You guys never catch
knows?
my lies.
That's because you don't present topics.
And also because, John, I wouldn't believe you if your tongue was notarized.
It is.
Yeah, according
Posse.
to whose source?
Did catch the time warp, I
was
gave
going to
you
say,
the time warp.
we smelt
Yeah,
around
you're right,
it, but not inside.
And then the DashCon, the DashCon sequel, DashCon 2015. That was it.
Oh,
I only
okay.
have 3 lies in here
Impressive.
because
Well.
I only had. So I technically did lie when talking to you guys before. I had said that it was only 3 pages long. Apparently, it was 4 because the last point that they never did a sequel fell onto page 4. So.
Well, the award for being the bloodhound of this particular episode goes to John Watkins, because I think you were right on top of it with those, my friend. So kudos.
Well, thank you. When it comes to Tumblr and nonsense, I don't know. It's just so exhausting.
I know what a Tumblr is.
Yeah, you've dated a
It's a
couple
porn
of them.
website, right? Yeah.
So funny enough, the reason that like I knew a lot about the Tumblr community in itself is that when I first started dating, probably the most toxic person that I ever did.
You've told the story.
No, I
Oh.
No,
haven't,
it's not
no.
Clip Vader. You'd think it was.
Oh, no, I was talking about when you were partially in a porno. That person
It's
was,
this-
or when you were in a porno, technically.
No,
Your dick was.
The worst relationship I was ever in didn't end with her punching me in the face for no reason, but it happened in the course. But when this woman and I were about to start dating, like we would interact with each other over Tumblr. Like she got me invested in Tumblr, and like I had that like weirdly like just thinking back on it now, it's so stupid and embarrassing, and that's why I know that I've grown as a person, that it embarrasses me to think about. But her, like, I would go to her blog to try and be like, oh man, like this is what she's into, and I would like, you know, you do the whole like, well, this is who I am on my blog, I think she's looking at my blog. Is that tracking at all?
I haven't done it personally, but I can understand the sentiment.
Yeah, anyway, it was fucking stupid, but that's how I first got involved with Tumblr, and then it just so happened that then the girl I dated a couple of years after that, Clit Vader, as it were.
Darth Clitoris,
Gotcha.
I think, would probably be the more appropriate name.
The Lord of
like
the
that
Dark,
one.
the Dark Lord of the Clit.
Yes, indeed.
I almost said slit, and that was even worse.
I think it's actually more appropriate if I'm going to be
Dark Lord of the Split. I like that.
Darth
It makes me-
Clitoris.
That makes me want to gag. I fucking
No,
hate that
Here
so
we go,
much.
John. I have it. We have our tagline for the film. It is Darth Clitoris. Rise.
Well, speaking of bad fanfic,
Ooh.
we have more. Oh, I'm not going to do the Walt Jr. voice. That'd
Thank
be
you.
insensitive.
I appreciate that.
I caught
Huh?
myself.
It's an old shtick from Shane here, and we're gonna leave that one well alone.
We'll keep that
All right,
off
cool,
air
done.
because it's
Shane, well,
do you want to give the tag? Do you want to?
I'm prepared. I have
All
decided I'm going to do this in a little more organized fashion because having heard myself
Ooh.
go blackout like Sam blackout drunk on last week's where I couldn't even remember my own name, I've decided it's better for me to kind of do a little pre-game this a bit. So I have previously on My Immortal. In Chapter 16, we see My Chemical Hot Pants perform in Hogsmeade, and if I never see the name Helena in a written form ever again, I will die a happy man. With Ennaby and Drogon doing the French and Damash until it's discovered that Foghorn Mort and Da Deaf Dealers are masquerading as a band and intending to dispatch Draco as a reprisal for Ebony not putting Potter underground, or potting in the soil, as it were. This is purportedly a flash-forward sequence, according to the Ebony apologist Michael, and we immediately, with no context, bounce to Ebony and Draco drolly debating about going to said concert following the reveal of Voldemort and company. Now, in spite of this non-sequential nonsense, we then find Ebony subsequently going shopping with Mary J. Granger, B. Luddy, Mary, not in Hot Topic, after a throwaway dig at, Willow, who is a heretofore unannounced character, somehow being profoundly squirreled away in some throwaway dialogue for those Recursion fans out there. We meet Tom Ridd, who is giving away free wearables due to someone's irresistible aesthetic, because we cannot overemphasize Ebony's goddess status anymore.
She's too
Oh
perfect.
my Satan.
Yeah, it needs to be more acutely, profoundly
How is she so
punctuated.
perfect?
I don't know. It's not possible. You simply cannot get more entrancing or intoxicating than Miss Ebony, Darkness Dementia in her way. And Hair Griddles shows up for no reason whatsoever to just provide needless fodder of characters. He tells her as a teaser at the end of the chapter that she needs to come back to Hogwarts immediately. He is told to fuck off just unceremoniously, and he promptly, complies.
He does.
They tell him to make like a voided bowel and run, and he just feels free to do so. No further commentary, no filling in on why they needed to come back. It's just, let me save you from sexy Tom Ridd in his non-Hot Topic clothes.
That's the best kind of cliffhanger you can ever ask for in a book.
Subsequently, Willow fucking arrives for no reason, merely one chapter removed from having been expelled, killed, and necrotically molested, and then joins B. Luddy and Ebony as we flash forward to the concert. Featured players for the concert are Draco, Diabolo, Naval, aka Dracula, points for originality there, B. Luddy Mort, Depot, Decoke, Decrack, and Vladimort and Da Def Dealers. We are then confronted before, as we know, by Vladimort and Def Jams Incorporated, only to be saved by Skater Boy Dumbledore and his boomstick broomstick. And that is where we are arriving for Chapter 18. Following that cliffhanger. Gentlemen, did that cover it well enough for all of you? Are there points I missed?
Yeah, no, that was beautiful.
Oh my god.
Excellently, spoken, eloquent, delivered.
It's most like when anyone talks, I understand that words are coming out of your mouth, but I am not comprehending nor understanding.
Well, for those of us who watched you try to have B. Bloody Mary speak Japanese or Japanese, as she said it in the... Melissa still stopped me when we were listening back to this, and she's like, was he speaking words, or was he just having a stroke? I'm like, well...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to note that I did leave an author's note for myself, not author's note, a scriptwriter's note, right underneath when he's supposed to say Hajimasta.
Yes, have fun, John.
I wrote, have fun with that, John, you bitch. Because and he didn't crack. He said it as best as he could. 10 out of 10 would listen to him attempt to speak.
To quote Shane, you're the one fucking this dog. I'm just holding his head down.
Yes. And to further quote me, pop a quarter in your ass because you played yourself. All right, are we ready, boys?
Yeah. I will talk about it right now. I think we can go to 21, chapter 21. There's a great cliffhanger there,
and it doesn't look like too much. We should be within. I know we haven't given ourselves an official episode length restriction, but it's felt
our episode
nice.
Length restriction is when you have to piss.
I feel a pressure, a protuberance.
Well, if you pulled your finger out of your ass, John, then you wouldn't be feeling that on your urethra.
So before we dive in, as is tradition,
you have to piss.
No, well, yes, but no. 2/3 of us do not have experience in voice acting.
And if that is not readily apparent to you now, it will be in about 5 minutes.
And without further ado, Shane,
Calgon, take me away. Alakadabra! Chapter 18. I woke up the next day in my coffin. I walked out of it and put on some black eyeliner, black eyeshadow, blood bed lipstick, and a black, really low-cut leather dress that was all ripped and in stripes so you could see my belly. I was wearing a skull belly ring with black and red diamonds inside it. The night before, Draco and I went back to the skull. Get it? Skull? 'Cause I'm gothic and I like death. Dumbledore chased Vlodimort away. We flew there on our brooms. Mine was black, and the broom stuff was blood red. There was lace all over it. Draco had a black MCR broom. It sang Helena as we flew away. Fuck me. We went back to our rooms, and we had, you know what, to a Linkin Park song.
In the end, it didn't even matter.
I have become so numb. Well, anyway, I went down to the Great Hall. All the walls were painted black, and the tables were black too. But you could see that there was pink pant underneath the black pant.
Under death.
Fuck me. I'm just gonna. We've talked about the slippery slope of the poor writing here, and the misspellings are almost just a fucking trapeze act in and of itself. So, and I'm told this is one of the most enjoyable parts of us doing this, is watching us just fumble farce over all of this nonsense. So, bless it. We're going to keep it. All right, I'm going to start over. Well, anyway, I went down to the Great Hall. There, all the walls were painted black, and the tables were black too. But you would see that there was pink pant under death, the black pant. And there were pastors of poser bands everywhere, like Ashley Simpson and the Backstreet Boys.
WTF?
I shouted, going to set next to B. Bloody Mary and Willow. B. Bloody Mary was wearing a black leather mini with a good chalut t-shirt, black fishnets, and black pointy boots. Willow was wearing a long gothic black dress with blood red writing that was all lacy and came up to your thighs, and black boots and fishnets. Vampire, Dracula, and Draco came. We started to talk about who was sexier, Mikey or Gerard Way, or Billy Joe Armstrong. The boys joined in, 'cause they were bi.
Those guys are so fucking hot.
Navel was saying as suddenly a gothic old man with a black beard and everything came. He was the same one who had chased away Voldemort yesterday. He had tan skin, but he was wearing white foundation, and he had dyed his hair black. By hair, we mean bunny rabbit hair.
Dumbledore?
We all gasped.
WTF? I thought he was just wearing that to scare Voldemort.
I shouted angrily.
Hello, everyone.
Dumbledore said happily.
As you can see, I gave the room a makeover. What do you think about it?
Everyone from the poser table in Gryffindor started to cheer. Well, we goths just looked at each other all disgusted and shook our heads. We couldn't believe what a poser he was. One.
BTW, you can call me Albert. Dumbledore called as we left to our classes.
That's not you. Dumbledore called as we left to
Nope.
our classes.
Nope, he wrote it stupidly. I get to read it
What?
stupidly.
No,
There's no space.
Oh my goodness.
Have you ever wrote a script before?
Well, this person obviously hasn't, so I mean, we're dealing with the source material.
Can you at least give me, like, kudos for at least saying it loudly because it was all caps?
Stop screaming at me, John. There's your space.
Ah, fucking thank you. I feel so better. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Let's take it from one.
And action. Dumbledore called as we left to our classes.
What a fucking poser.
Draco shouted angrily as we to transformation. We were holding hands. Vampire looked really jealous. I could see him crying blood in a gothic way, get it, like Gerard. But I didn't say anything.
I bet he's having a midlife crisis.
Willow shouted. I was so fucking angry. And that, dear friends, is chapter 18. Whew.
Good. We're really just we're getting to cruising altitude.
Yes, indeed. So we've now just redecorated the Hall of Greats, and
Greats everywhere.
Indeed, it's so grating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited for the name of the next chapter.
We can jump straight into it.
Yeah, let's keep going
I'm
because I
ready.
have to pee, and I think we can just speed through this.
No, I think we're going to draw this out deliberately. Inch
Should
by
have put a
inch.
catheter in.
We're gonna,
Yeah, really let it let the
Run
aroma.
yeah. You're gonna be a decathlete here in a second.
So, Shane, the chapter's title?
Chapter 19. I'm not okay. I promise.
Trust me, I'm not okay.
Helena?
Hello?
All day we sat angrily thinking about Dumbledore. We were so fucking pissed off. Well, I had one thing to look forward to. The MCR concert. It had been postponed, so we all could go. I'm gonna take a pause for the cause here. How many fucking times are we gonna have this concert? It's already happened twice, technically. What the fuck is going on?
It was postponed, like you just said.
It was postponed after we've now had the band show up twice and molt into fucking, the Def Jam comedy crew.
But it wasn't. Gerard
Your
Way
flash
wasn't there
forward
either
horse
time.
shit nonsense.
No.
Fnibbidibba.
Gerard wasn't there either times. It was Voldemort.
That's fine.
And
but
the
now-
members that were there.
Oh, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like they want the authentic concert. Like
How
they
can
don't want
we-
they don't want the Elvis impersonator. They want Elvis.
How
Yeah.
can we guarantee the safety of Gerard and the Brothers Way now if we've now had Volsmort and company show up multiple times, or if we're believing how this bullshit apologist nonsense has happened the single time? Like, if I'm MCR, I'm not showing up. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you.
Well, this is a fantastical world where anything and everything happens, Shane.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Rhino horn. All right, here we go. It had been postponed, so we all could go. Anyway, I went to the common room, sadly, to cut classes. Draco was being all secretive. I asked what it was, and he got all mad at me and started crying, all hot and angsty. Sensitive bi guys are so hot.
No one fucking understands me. One.
He shouted angrily as his black hair went in his big blue eyes like Billy Joe in Boulevard of Broken Dreams. He was wearing black baggy pants, a black MCR t-shirt, and a black dye. Get it? Instead of tie, because I'm Gothic. I was wearing a black leather low-cut top with chains all over it, a black leather mini, black high-held boots, and a crossbelly thing. My hair was all up in a mezzy really high bun like Amy Lee in Gong Under. Email me if you want to see the pic.
Accuse me? What about me?
I growled.
But...
Draco grunted.
You fucking bastard.
I moaned.
No, it's not what it fucking looks like.
He shouted, but it was too late. I knew what I heard. I ran to the bathroom angrily. Kring. Draco banged on the door. I whipped and whipped as my bloody eyeliner streamed down my cheeks and made cool tears down my feces like Benji in the video for Girls and Boys. Raven, that is so our video. I took out a cigarette and started to smoke pot. Suddenly, Hargrid came. He had appurated.
You gave me a fucking shook.
I shouted angrily, dropping my pot.
WTF do you think you're doing into girls' room?
Only it wasn't just Hargrid. Someone else was with him, too. For a second, I wanted it to be Tom Ridd, or maybe Draco. But it was Dumbledore.
Hey, I need to ask you a question.
Dumbledore said, pulling out his black wannabe Gothic purse.
What are you wearing to the concert?
You know who MCR are?
I gasped.
No, I just saw there was a concert that a lot of gossip punks were going to.
Dumbledore said.
Anyway, Draco has a surprise for you.
And chapter 20.
I love that Gandalf is going to an MCR concert. It's great.
This thing has started to break me down incrementally to the point that I don't think I'm going to be either coherent or functional by the end of this. In short, I'm not okay.
I promise.
Jeebus. Cheese and rice. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
If it entertains everyone, then I consider it 110% success.
It is a labor of love.
It's a labor.
And how?
And I love it.
Waiting for the snip.
I want to make a quick point. After this chapter, which has a warning for slit wristing, I stopped writing trigger warnings. I'm just gonna say this whole show, like when I do the supercut, I might just do a blurb at the beginning, just say This whole thing is a trigger.
I think trigger warnings are fine, and I agree with their importance. But at a certain point, we've been doing this show now for 44 episodes, and that's far over 44 hours of content. And at this point, I don't think if you're here that you really need the warning. You kind of signed up for it. I know I froze, and I'm going to keep talking through the freeze until I'm back. And you don't know what I said, or I sped up like a chipmunk. It's anyone's
So Stephen
guess.
Hawking is now a co-host of the Disinformed podcast.
Yeah,
No, you
essentially.
slowed down, like, but anyway, to quote it, no, they got your okay audio.
I would
thing.
say
We got
yes.
It. Yeah, it's
I mean, in general, would you like to see something I discovered as I was reading through what some common content warnings are, just on that topic? Since we've got all the time in the world.
sure.
Here's some common content warnings for those of you if you don't already know, and we'll ding how many times we have covered something that at least marginally touches on this.
Yeah, Michael's going to do this in post.
Pun intended. Nope. Here we go. Sexual assault. Abuse. Child abuse. Pedophilia. Incest. Self-harm. Suicide.
Jeez.
Eating disorders. Body hatred or fat phobia. Violence. 2 thumbs right now, John. Pornographic content. Kidnapping or abduction. Death
Oh my God.
or dying. Pregnancy, childbirth, miscarriages, abortion, blood, mental illness and ableism, racism and racial slurs,
Okay, well, at least we don't have that.
sexism and misogyny,
Okay, we kind of missed on that.
classism,
Probably.
hateful language directed at religious groups,
Treason.
transphobia or transmisogyny.
We defended that earlier.
We did. We have one thing to our name. Homophobia and
Not
heterosexism.
Well, I do hate you fucking normal straights.
Who doesn't? I
Damn
hate all
cis
people.
normative.
This has been noted. But yeah, so those are some common content warnings. So at this point, if we don't have a trigger for every single episode, we've done something wrong because we have somehow managed to touch on at least one of these almost every time at bat.
Yeah. Wow,
So-
I've never been simultaneously ashamed and proud of myself.
Yeah, we're garbage people. We've known this. Now it's just certified and we get a certificate
Sorry,
that
Mom.
we get to hang in the
Sorry,
office.
God.
All right, are we ready?
Can we read these 2 chapters so I can go piss?
Nope,
No.
we're going to keep this going here, John. I want to talk to you a bit about the moral
Fucking
implications.
Satan, damn it.
Oh my Satan!
All
This
right,
is the
here
problem
we
with
go.
all you fucking radical Christians.
Oh,
Just like birds, Jesus is a lie.
Shane, you're giving me a shook. Come on.
you
Shaney-
gave me a fucking shook.
You fucking what, mate?
I
It's,
love that. That was probably.
Shaney Shook and the Disarmers, apparently, I think. is.
I just want to say that was my favorite line so far. You gave me a fucking shook. That's like
Indeed.
10 years ahead of its time.
John, are you at a desperate enough point that we're just going to need to take a moment here? Because we can cut this out of the episode. It's perfectly fine. If you are at a point where it's going to kill
No, I'm
you.
going to hate fuck my way through this.
Okay, all right. Well, here we
Okay.
go. Chapter 20. All day, I wondered what the surprise was. Meanwhile, I pot on a black ladder mini, a black corset with purple lace stuff all over it, and black gothic compact boots. MCR were going to do the concert again, since Volksamort had taken over the last one. I slit my wrists while I moshed to MCR in my bedroom all night, feeling excited. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door while I was trying on some black clothes and moshing to Fang You for the Venom. I got all mad and turned it off, but sacredly, I hopped inside that it was Draco, so we could do it again.
What the fucking hell are you doing?
I shouted angrily. It was Lupin.
Are you gonna come?
Hoo-hoo!
Me or what?
I yelled. I was allowed to say that because Dumbledore had told us all to be careful around Hem and Snap, since he was a pedo.
No, actually, Get it? Hell, can I please borrow some condoms?
He growled angrily.
Yeah, so you can fook your, sick, old girlfriend, huh?
I shouted, sarcastically.
Fooker.
He said, going away. Well, anyway, I put on some black eyeshadow, black eyeliner, and some black lipstick and white foundation. Then I went. Then I gasped. Snake and Lupin were in the middle of the empty hall, doing it. And Dobby was watching. One.
Oh
my God,
you
ludicrous idiot.
They both shooted angrily when they saw me. Dobby ran away crying.
Why does it have to happen to an elf's eyes?
They got up, though. Normally, I would have been turned on. I love Kringas do it. But both of them were fucking preps. BTW, Snake is moved to Gryffindor now.
WTF, is that why you wanted condoms?
I said, sadistically. See, I spelt that.
Only you wouldn't give them to me.
Lupin shouted angrily.
Well, you should have told me.
I replayed.
You dimwit.
Snake began to shoot angrily, and then I took out my black camera and took a pic of them. You could see that they were naked and everything.
Well, excuse me. What
was that all about?
They both shouted angrily.
It was to blackmail you.
I snarked.
So now next time you see me doing it with my boyfriend, you can't fucking rate me out or I'll show this to Dumbledore. So fuck off, you bastards.
I started to run. They chased me, but I threw my wound at them, and they tripped over it. Well, anyway, I went outside, and there was Vampire, looking extremely fucking hot.
WTF, where'd Draco?
I asked him.
Oh, he's a fucking bastard. He told me he wouldn't come.
Vampire said, shaking his head.
You wanna come with me to the concert?
Then he showed me his flying car. I gasped. It was a black car. He said his dog father, Sirius Blake, had given it to him. The license plate on the front said MCR 666 on it. The one on the back said Enobi on it. I gasped. Couldn't even spell my fucking name right. We flew to the concert hall. MCR was there, playing. Vampire and I began to make out, moshing to the music. I gasped, looking at the band. I almost had an orgasm. Gerard was so fucking hot. He began to sing Helena, and his sexa beautiful voice began to fill the hall. And then I heard some crying. I turned and saw Draco crying in a corner.
Why? You mustn't put vampire water! Why? Okay, Black.
He's crying because he heard Helena and it.
Dobby
One
would
more
help you.
time.
It's just the worst thing I can
Dobby would help you,
say.
Master Draco. Here's my sock.
You better
Take it and wipe under your face with it. I come in it all the time with home my
so
bottle.
long. I have to die.
Do you enjoy my elf cum?
Yes.
Take it on your face, Draco.
I like that I've now turned Dobby into fucking, the cousin of Yoda.
If we don't finish this chapter, I'm going to have to go pee right now because you made me laugh too hard.
The chapter's done. She almost had an orgasm.
No, I meant the 21. We're doing one more. and
Are we
we're
doing
out.
21? Yes. This is
Oh,
where
you're
a plot.
shitting me. I thought
Yes,
we were
there's a
going up
cliffhanger.
the hill because that was just a cliffhanger.
No.
Oh.
Chapter 21 has the cliffhanger.
John, just pee your pants. It's fine.
Okay, fine. I'm in it to win it. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hey, if you guys care, trigger warning, suicide. Like, we haven't talked about that before.
In case you didn't know. All right. Chapter.
Oh, also, Shane, you see that you have a character in this episode.
I
right?
do indeed.
Or this chapter. Okay, cool.
Of course, I would have Filch because
It's
filching.
actually pronounced Felch.
Felching is my specialty. All right. Chapter 21. Later, we all went to the skull. Draco was crying in the common room.
Draco, are you okay?
I asked in a gothic voice.
Yo, I'm not, you fucking bitch.
He shouted angrily. He stated to run out of the place in a suicidal way. I stated to cry, 'cause I was afraid he would commit suicide.
It's okay, Anobi,
said Vampire, comfortably.
I'll make him feel better.
You mean you'll go fuck him, won't you?
I shouted angrily. Then I ran to get Draco. Vampire, come too.
Draco, please come.
Vampire began to cry. Tears of blood came down his pale face. I was so turned on, 'cause I love sensitive bi guys. If you are a homophone, then fuck off.
Yeah, bitch.
And then we heard some footsteps. Vampire got out his Blake invisibility coke. We both got under it. We saw the janitor, Mr. Norris, there, shouting angrily, with a flashlight in his hand. "Who's there?" he shouted angrily. We saw filth come. We went under the invisibility cloak and started to meow loudly. "Is anyone there? Hello?" yelled Mr. Norris.
No, fuck you, you preppy little poser son of a fucking beesh.
Vampire said under his breast in a disgusted way. Excuse me, who said that? Yelled Mr. Norris. Yelled Ninner Norris.
Yeah.
Then he heard Filch meow. Filth, is there anyone under the cloak? He asked.
I'm so confused.
Filth nodded, and then Vampire Frenched me. He did it in juice as Mr. Norris was taking off the cloak. One. What the? He yelled, but it was too late. Vuz now we were ruining away from him. And then we saw Draco crying and boosting into tears and slitting his wrists outside of the school.
Draco, are you okay?
I cried.
I guess so.
Draco wept. We went back to our coffins, Frenching each other. Draco and I decided to watch Lake Placid. See, isn't that depressing? On the gothic red bed together. As I was about to put in the video, my eyes rolled up, and suddenly I had a vision of something that was happening now. There was a knock on the door, and Fug and the Mystery of Magic walked into the school. 1.
Wow, what a cliffhanger. I really wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah, if we were hanging Cliff, we should have asked him if he had any last wishes.
So I will say that Filch and Norris were switched
Yes.
so that...
If
Yes.
that wasn't painfully obvious to those listening. In case you are not familiar at all with Harry Potter, which is certainly a possibility, Mr. Filch is the caretaker, and of course Mrs. Norris is his cat. We have now inverted that because this is
Nonsensical
parody.
gibberish.
Well, John, have you survived?
I have survived.
Have you hit your second wind?
You ready to read the rest of them? All
all
16
in one?
more pages? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, chapter 22.
Just like my daddy told me.
We're not done until I say so.
Swallow it down with brown.
Trigger warning. John's molestation humor.
Who was that? Who the fuck was that?
Huh?
It's me. So me.
Shane hit his
I hit
his
my
stand.
shock mount for once.
Oh.
It's my own fault.
Hey,
I've
Michael?
done it.
You ready for this one? No one could hear that, and it's going to be edited out, but I hit the shock mount to spite you. You should probably hit yours too in solidarity.
No.
All right, then.
All right,
Well-
I'll go fuck myself.
What else is new?
Thank you.
How wonderful. Well, with that, all
The funny
three
part
of
is
us.
I wasn't talking, so I can just edit that out, so it doesn't sound like I actually hit it. So
But you're talking now.
I can edit that all too.
Yeah, you
So
can
you're just
edit all
talking
of
to
this.
the ether. Ah!
Well, the ether is actually not a gem. It is kind of a floaty, apparitional wisp of whim. It's a cloud.
Yeah, you hear that, Michael? That's what you fucking sound like.
Well, it's all very easily explained. For those of you who are familiar with biomechanoid animals.
Yeah, can you tell him the quantum theory about that?
By the way, quantum mechanics is something that was contrived by a small,
His name was
jujube.
Quantum Aurelius.
And as a matter of stern fact, I think that I recall him sitting on a field of gillyflowers, whimsically saying to his mother, I hope that someday gravity can actually be shown to be a wave. Do you remember
And
that?
on that note, nope.
Yeah. No, that's
Well.
a great ending there.
As a matter of fact, Pepperidge Farm remembers.
And I'm
And
Michael.
the water.
The water can't forget. All right, well, I think
Posse.
this is going to be enough of this nonsense for us for 1 week. We started with a bang, and we're glitching our way through the finish. And I hope that you have all enjoyed it just as much as we have, because this is about to get we have for rehab. Are you ready,
Amen.
gentlemen?
Oh, I'm ready.
Well, as a matter
And
of
me.
fact, you can find us on social networks. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I got so
I
excited
saw
there.
John waiting for. Wait, see, now you're drinking more, so it's your own damn fault. You're just pushing the pain.
I'm parched.
Oh, it's kind of slaking my first to my throat.
You fucking bastard.
God damn it, Emily.
Just
All
drink your own
right.
piss, man.
Well, for the Disinformed podcast, I'm Shane.
I'm peeing my pants right now. I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
Thank you for coming. Don't worry, John will clean it up when he's done fixing the puddle.